All right, hello everybody. My name is Kai, and I'm going to be doing this webinar for you guys. We're going to be talking about an action movie, how to create an action movie sequence in iClone 6. So I know some of you are new to iClone, so we're going to be doing a brief little product intro at the very beginning here, just to kind of get you informed on what you can do with iClone, what it's all about, and then we'll move on to the live demo. We'll be spending the majority, the lion's share of our webinar on the live demo. And then at the end, we'll have about a 10, maybe 15-minute question session. So if you have any questions about this webinar, any of the procedures or the workflow or anything like that, you can feel free to put a question in your little questions panel, your GoToWebinar window there, and I will answer those at the end of the webinar. And in addition to that, we will be sending out a survey for you guys. So we want to know what you think about the webinar. What kind of topics you want to learn about, how we can improve and everything like that. We're always eager to receive your feedback. So if you have any of that for us, please feel free to fill out the survey form. And if you fill that out, you will get a $10 gift certificate for the content store. So $10 off at the content store, whatever you want to buy. Lots of cool stuff available there. So please feel free to put your questions in the questions panel, and I'll get to those at the end. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to start off with a little product intro for iClone 6, and then we will get into the live demo, like I mentioned. All right, so let's get started. First of all, product intro. I'll just click on my thing here. So iClone's a real-time 3D animation tool, complete digital actors, virtual environments, all kinds of stuff, which you can read on the screen there. I'm not going to repeat it for you, but basically it's an awesome animation engine that you can use. There's real-time animation tools that are really useful. We're going to go into detail on some of those in this webinar, so get ready for that. And it's ideal also for beginners and professionals. I want to emphasize that. It has a very not too much of a difficult learning curve. You can get into it. This webinar right here is mainly focused on, I'd say, beginner to intermediate level. So we're not going to go into too much detail with a lot of stuff, but it shows you the potential. All right, so there's some of the key benefits. Cinematic editing. So there's a flexible and handy interface that you can use, and we'll get used to that as we move on through the live demo here. Ultra-realistic rendering. That's provided thanks to the Indigo render engine that we have a plugin for with iClone. And in addition, in the future, we will be having partnerships with other render engines as well. So if you have any questions as well about the product map for Reallusion, Crazy Talk Animator 3, or anything like that, feel free to ask those in the questions section as well. I have a little bit of insight as to the direction the company is going. Not too much, but a little bit. All right, so character design as well. We have the Character Creator application, as you may know. We can get into talking about that if you have any questions about it later on in the webinar as well. Refined topology for natural facial animation and body morphs. And authentic animation. This is my favorite part of iClone, the animation part. So we have some really powerful animation tools, and they're just getting better and better as time goes along. So we're always looking forward to your feedback as well for what sort of animation tools that you would like and how we can improve the current ones. We already have lots of developers and users who have given us really useful feedback for improving our software, particularly in the animation area. Dynamic materials. Thanks to our partnership with Substance, Logarithmic Substance, we have Substance materials in iClone, which you can keyframe and you can modify. And we can get into detail on that. Not too much material stuff going on in this webinar, but again, feel free to ask questions at the end. And physics simulation. We're not going to get into too much physics in this webinar either, but physics can be pretty fun, kind of frustrating sometimes, but if you've used physics in a real-time environment, it can be a little bit unpredictable. iClone has all that stuff. Expandable content. So we have the marketplace and the content store where you can buy all sorts of cool content from various high-class developers or high-level developers all over the world. And we have, like I mentioned, Indigo RT, the plugin, Substance, Logarithmic Substance. SpeedTree is a really cool partnership that we have. You can import speed trees now into iClone, into your projects, and physics is made possible by physics by NVIDIA, and we also have Microsoft DirectX, which allows us to do a lot of other cool stuff. All right, so what's new? We have the Indigo render engine, like I mentioned before. I'm going to skip through this stuff pretty quickly. I don't want to bore you too much. Real-time surface smoothing. If you have any questions about that, basically it's just using your video card to smooth out the surface of your character's mesh or your prop's mesh, as you can see, comparing the right and the left ogre there. It's an ugly dude. Tessellation. That's one of the technologies that's made possible from DirectX 11. The ability to extrude the appearance of meshes with displacement maps, and we can talk more about that as well later. Highly detailed models with vector displacement, that goes into the tessellation category as well. So if you have displacement maps, you can create detailed, the simulation of detailed textures like you see in this image right here. And this object-oriented constraints, this has to do with physics, and that goes into a whole new bucket of worms. If you're interested in that, we have tutorials on our YouTube channel, which I'll show you guys later. Flexible dockable UI, pretty basic stuff. The timeline looks really complicated here, but all in all, not too complicated. We'll get into some timeline stuff later on. And our G6 now character creator characters are really awesome, really universal. There's a universal system now, the character creator system, and you can create your own custom cloths, your own custom characters very easily. And we have other tutorials and webinars that get into detail on that. Speed tree, like I mentioned before, good stuff. Lots of realistic plants and wildlife that you can use now. Level of detail, this is something that we can get into later on. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but you can see the cool improvements that we've made with iClone 6. And iClone 7 is also just around the corner as well, so we're going to have to replace this PowerPoint with a new one pretty soon. We have the dynamic sky system within iClone 6. I like to use this for certain outdoor scenes, although it is fairly resource heavy. So who uses iClone? A lot of people do. Movie makers, video producers, educators, developers. We have a large corporate training regiment, I know, that use iClone because it's fairly easy to use, and you can really, even if you're not that experienced of an animator or a director, if you're in a corporate training, you can create your own training videos quite easily. And we have a lot of users that actually make money doing that, making corporate training videos with iClone and selling their services to various companies and schools around the world. So there's another way you can make some money with iClone. Movie making business basically is a budget animation tool that's very powerful as well. Web media, content development, and video production. So all kinds of people. These are a couple of examples of who uses it. Andrei Peisker is a director from Germany. You can see a little bit of his work there. We also have a featured developer page, or a featured story page that you can check out. And we will be sending out this PowerPoint as well as a recording of our webinar. So if you miss anything here and you want to go back and review it, we will be sending you a link to the video because we're actually recording this live as we go along. Okay. All right, and Realm Pictures. These guys are pretty cool. They did a lot of Previz using iClone. You can see on BBC. They covered a lot of that. Miles Sorensen. He has a movie up on IMDb, producer or director from New York. You can check out that if you want. Plato's Reality Machine. They used iClone for in-game animation scenes, animated actually by my good friend James Martin. And this is Adolfo Navarro, a member or the founder of the Zervan Club. He does a lot of stuff actually. He started off with single comic book type images like this. He used iClone renders to create still images in his web comic, and now he's gone way beyond that. I'd recommend checking out his stuff as well. John Gress is an educator. He uses iClone for Previz work and a lot of video games, a lot of other stuff. John Weinburn, this is him. Works for the National UK Film and Television School, and teaches iClone there as well. A lot of awards that we've had, yada yada yada. Jimmy Kimmel, Jesse Griffith is one of the head animators from Jimmy Kimmel, uses iClone all the time, as well as Crazy Talk 8, because in that sort of industry, things are snap. You have to be really in touch with the news, and if some story comes up, you have to be able to animate something that same day and get it to production that evening for the evening show. So iClone and Crazy Talk have really helped him and a lot of other people in similar situations with those types of situations because it's so fast. All right, so product family, iClone Pro, iClone Standard. There's a comparison chart online, 3D Exchange, and Indigo Render. If you have any questions about that, just ask me. I don't want to spend too much time on this PowerPoint because we want to get to the fun stuff, which is the live demo. And the content store I'd recommend checking out. We have lots of cool content in the content store, as you can see here. Explore it on your own time. If you want a link, I can send you guys a link if you'd like. But a lot of cool stuff, as you can see, for use in your own scenes. This is special effects. We're going to be using some special effects in this webinar here to get some really cool looking effects in our scene. Speed tree, like I mentioned before. We partner with industry leading content providers like Daz, Dexsoft Games, Mr. Games. And that's about it. So yeah, any questions about that PowerPoint? I know I went through it really quickly, but I don't really want to focus on the PowerPoint part. I want to focus on showing you the actual tool. So this is a little summary of the live demo. Okay, so we're going to talk about the quick scene setup, how to set up a quick scene really quickly, and then the simple process of creating a character run. It can be simple or it can be not that simple, depending on what sort of run you'd like. And then we're going to do motion layer animation. So that's keyframe animation, just a few simple keyframes to get into the groove of things. And what we're going to be doing is showing you how to do that as well. And then some explosions with sound effects content and particle effects. We'll get into particle effects later as well. iClone special effects. This is the special lens effects that we have with iClone. And I think that's about it. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to put those in the questions panel. Otherwise, we're going to start the live demo. Okay, so let's close down this window right here. And into iClone, the first thing we want to do is set up our scene. So let's go over here into Stage. Now in Stage, we have a number of 2D backgrounds and 3D scenes, height map large, mesh medium right here. We also have, under props, we have some terrains that we can add in as well. Terrains right here. This mesh medium is where we're going to find, should appear. There we go. Okay, we're going to find the combat stage that we're going to be using for this webinar here. There's height maps, terrains of the world. Let's load in this combat stage really quickly, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. All right, so this is the setting we're going to use. I'm just using this because it's a simple and easy thing to add into your scene. This combat stage can be found under terrain and mesh medium, and this whole thing is made of a single mesh. If we go to our scene tab right here, you can see under terrain all the different stuff that are that the scene consists of. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that. All right, but this is our scene. I'm going to press Control G to turn off our grid. You can turn the grid off with Control G. A little useful little hotkey there. And the next thing I want to do is add a sky into my scene. So there's a couple of ways you can add a sky. The easiest way is just go to Props and into Sky. And I have some sky maps already here. You can also use your own HDR images. Now keep in mind they have to be really large. Like I'd say minimum resolution is 4096 by 4096. But I'm just going to load in this clear day 00. And you can see, there we go. We have a nice clear day in this combat stage. It's a nice day to get blown up by our main character to get blown up. All right, so that's our sky and the scene setup. Now we can also add water in this little gully, in this little ravine over here. You can see it's kind of almost made for water. We have some open sewers there as well. But I'm going to go ahead into the water section here. There's a number of different waters that you can use. I like to use the main waters in the main folder. Don't worry about these still normal and video diffuse folders generally. Just keep with these main water ones that I like to use. So I'm going to double click on Gentle Wave. That's going to flood our whole scene. Holy cow, we need to bring that water level down. So to do that, I'm going to go over here to our water height on the right hand side here in the Modify panel and just take our height down to like 10 and press enter. You can see maybe not low enough. You need to take it down to like maybe 0 And there's 0 is okay. I think it could be possibly a bit lower. Maybe -10. You can also take it into negative values right there. All right, I think -10 is okay. And you can see now we have made a river in the middle of our broken city. And if we press play, you can see the nice reflection of the buildings off of our water. All right, so that's our basic scene setup. That's all I really want to do for the scene setup. Excuse me. Now, if you want, you can also modify. If I go to the scene tab right here and I go to sky, there's modifications here for your sky. You can also change the diffuse map. If you want to change the hue, the color of your sky, this is an easy way to do it. Just go to select your diffuse map and change your hue. You can see it slowly changing to purple if you want to have sunset type. I'm not sure where the red is here, but you can use a sunset, maybe more saturation. It's already a fairly colorless sky map, so if you have not much color there, then it's going to not show much. Let's see if we go higher. There's some orange there, but anyways, that's how you can change the hue and saturation. If your initial texture map has more color, then it'll change more. But that's how you can really easily modify the. You can also go here, change the red. That's probably a bit better. There you go. Anyways, it's a purple sky, I guess. I'm not too good with colors. All right, so we're going to just keep it blue for now. All right, so I just want to show you how you can change the color of your sky map. Now let's go ahead and get started. That's our simple scene setup. Let's get started on animating our character. So to do that, I'm going to go to my Content tab, bring in a character under Avatars. Now under Avatars, you can find your character creator characters right here that come embedded with iClone. I'm going to use a custom character that I've created. He looks kind of badass here. I'm going to use this Deckles guy. I call him Deckles guy because he has a lot of tattoos and injuries and cuts on him. And if you want to learn how to use character creator, we have tons of tutorials on character creator. You can see he has that couple of tattoos and some scars on his face and even some bullet scars on his chest there. That's all customized using Deckles in character creator. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me in the questions panel. All right, so this is our character. Now, what we want our character to do first is he's going to be running. So to do the run, we can use a number of different ways to have our character run. We can use, we can go to our motion tab in the motion library, and we can apply, any of these motions right here. I'm going to use the embedded tool with iClone. So this way you don't have to purchase anything. You can just use the motion animation tab up here and use your motion puppet tool. So the motion puppet tool is a really awesome tool for kind of like looping stuff. If you want to loop an idle, like have an idle loop, you can have this character just bored and he'll just oops, have a bored idle right here. You can have a dancing idle. Every time you select one, just press space and it'll preview it for you. Okay, so we're not recording right now, we're just kind of previewing. And on the same note, if you want to have your character moving or talking, there's also talk loops as well. So this one's like kind of, character explaining stuff. And you can combine these really nicely as well, which I often do in projects that I am on. All right, so let's go ahead and just use a moving one. So the moving one, we have some walking, we have some running. I'm going to use the basic run. So where's our male run here? There we go, basic run. If we select that, we can press space and we can preview our character running. Let's look at him from this side actually, a bit better. Okay, so we have him running, but it kind of looks like he's jogging. In this webinar, we're going to have him run like he's running away from a helicopter, like an attack helicopter. It's going to be similar to a scene in, I think it's Mission Impossible 4 or 3, where he's on a bridge and this big explosion happens next to him. He gets thrown against a car. Anyways, that's what we're going to be doing. So pretend he's running away from an attack helicopter. He doesn't seem too urgent right now. It seems like he's kind of jogging. So what we may want to do is increase the exaggeration a little bit. You can see when we do that, it kind of throws things off. Like his arms go into his chest and his legs kind of flare out a little bit. So we can't raise the exaggeration too much. We can raise it a little bit, but not too much. Now what I want to do here is I want to have him lean forward because he's kind of like leaning into the run a little bit. We also want to have him slouching over a little bit, so now he's kind of leaning a bit forward into his run. We can modify this even further later with the motion layer editor tool. Okay, now also what I want to do is have him have a long stride, because if he's running, he's going to have longer strides. So you can see if he has short strides, he's kind of just like do like that. So we need to go to the long strides, and now he looks like he's actually running a bit faster. Okay, we can also increase the speed as well. Okay, so maybe about 110, the speed should be okay. And we're going to modify a couple more things later on. And there's bouncing hips is another way to kind of add a dynamic look to your run. So we want the hips to be bouncing up and down quite significantly. Okay, so if we go to the side, there we go. We're slowly sculpting our run here. And swaying hips is another one you may want to maximize as well. Max that out. Let's sway from side to side a bit more. So you can see now he looks like he's running with a lot more urgency than he was before. And you can also use like loose neck as well. His neck goes more from side to side like that, although I don't like the loose neck to be too extreme. Loose arms and swaying more. If you have him swaying more, again, you need to make sure that his arms are not too much into his chest, but that can always be adjusted later, like I mentioned with the motion layer editor. So once you've found a nice base run, like this one, it looks okay. We'll just ignore the arms for now because we're actually going to adjust the arm position slightly later on. But I think the way we have it right now, it looks fairly dynamic. So what I'm going to do is just press space and stop the preview. And I'm going to record about 10 steps or maybe 12 steps of him running. Okay, you can never have too many steps. So we're just going to go ahead and press record and press space. So 1, 2, 3. We can just go on for about, I don't know, 400, 500 frames. We don't need to really record the number of steps. All right, so about 500 frames and close this down. So now we have our character running in the same spot, just like that. Okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to adjust that run. Okay, so you may have noticed that when he's running, his arms are a little bit close to his chest, actually going through his chest at one point right here, which is no good. So in order to adjust the entire run, what we can do is go to the first frame of that run. In this case, it's frame 1. And we can go to Edit Motion Layer tool. And I'm going to use the select our character's shoulders here and use the E hotkey to bring up my rotation gizmo. And I'm going to rotate that a little bit outwards like this. Okay, just his shoulders are a little bit outwards. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other shoulder as well. Just bring it out like this. And in addition to that, I also want to take his shoulder and I want to bring it, use the W hotkey, and I want to bring it down a little bit. So it's kind of a little bit further down on his body like this. Nothing too low, but something like that, okay? And we also want to make sure the other one is not too high as well. So just go ahead and bring that one down. And let's take a look at how our character runs now. So like that, it's okay. Look at from the front. Okay, I think it looks pretty good from the front, all right? So at least his arms aren't going through his chest anymore, and he looks like he's running towards us. Cool, so we got our rundown. This like that's half the battle right there. The next thing I want to do is press the G hotkey, and that's going to give me a direct overhead view of my character. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. You may want to actually bring those shoulders a little bit forward as well. Sorry, I'm kind of a perfectionist here. I'm just kind of bring those a little bit forward. They look like they're a little bit too far back. There we go. Okay. Just make sure his arms aren't going through his chest. Okay, good enough. Nice run pose right there. Okay, so at frame 1, we're going to press the G hotkey, get a direct overhead view. Zoom out. You can press the Alt key and click and drag both mouse buttons to zoom out. It's a great way to zoom out. That's what I always use. If you hold Alt and Shift at the same time and zoom in and out, or both mouse keys, you can zoom in and out faster like this. Whoa. Okay, so let's wait until he has about 10 steps, I think. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and I'm going to bring him forward using a W hotkey. So I'm going to press F3 right at this point here so we can go into our timeline. That's the most important hotkey is F3. And we're now at frame 237, and I want to bring him forward quite a bit, so maybe to about here. I'm just estimating right now. And that creates a keyframe in our transform track. So transform is like where your character moves. Okay, so that's your character movement, and then we'll go to the side. And if we press the S hotkey, S hotkey will give you a side view of your character. And let's take a look at how his run looks. So he starts over here, and if we press play, he's kind of running in place. I mean, we need to make him obviously go a little bit further at that point. So what we can do is we can click on this keyframe right here and press the tab, and that'll take us to the next keyframe, which is this one right here. If you press tab, it'll take you to the next keyframe on your timeline, which is a useful little tip. So obviously at this keyframe he's not far along enough, so let's move him even further down the road. Let's move him down to about here, maybe like right before this bridge. And then if we play back, let's take a look at from this 45-degree overhead view here. Okay, I think that looks a lot better. Okay, it looks like he's actually running, well, runs behind the bridge, but let's use the S hotkey, give him a side view and just a view like this. So play back. Okay, maybe even a little bit too far. So if we go here, press the F hotkey, we can focus on our character and just bring him slightly back to about there. Okay, so let's see what it looks like. Okay, I think we're good enough. Now what I want to do is at this point here, as we reach that final point after 10 steps, I'm going to right-click in the motion track on my motion clip, and I'm going to break it because we don't want any more running after this point. Okay, at this point he's going to be thrown against a car. So let's go ahead and click this one and just delete that. So right here is where we're going to start our next animation. So the next animation is him being thrown against a car. What I'm going to do here, just as an aside, is I'm going to go to my render tab, and we're going to change our frame size to 1280 by 720, so we get a wider perspective there. There we go, a little bit more real estate. Okay, so we have a transform keyframe right here. Let's bring in a car or a vehicle of some sort. So I'm going to go over here to props. I can close down the timeline right now. Let's go into props, and there is an iCar that I need to bring in. iCar Body Shop. This is a pack you can find in the content store. You can also bring in car models from Google SketchUp or 3D Warehouse or anything like that as well, whatever program you have. I'm going to click and drag this truck into our scene. All right, so we're going to place it right beside him, and he's going to be thrown against the passenger side window there. So let's bring this up a little bit, position it correctly, maybe a little bit further away from him to about there. And now keep in mind, whenever you move an item at like a different frame, you want to go ahead and right-click that item and select Remove Object Animation. Otherwise, when you move your frames back, it's going to be moving all over the place. All right, so just whenever you want to place an item in the middle of your scene, in the middle of your timeline, right-click it and Remove Object Animation after you've placed it in the correct place. Okay, so let's find our character where he's stopping, so right about here. Okay. So what I want to do here is about, let's see, we're at frame 236, so about, 15 frames down, we're going to have our character get thrown against the bus, or against the truck here. So let's use the E hotkey. We're going to rotate him, and I'm going to rotate him this way, and we're going to use the W hotkey to place him like way up here against the roof of the truck there. Okay, so now he's going from this position. After he's finished running, he's going to be like, boom, just thrown against the truck, the side of the truck, like that. And at this point, as he's making contact with the truck, we also want to, at this point here, I'm going to now go to my Modify tab, use the Edit Motion Layer tool, and I'm going to press Reset. Now, or not Reset, rather. We'll just double-click in the motion track there, Motion Layer track. And we're going to just double click there, and that's going to add a keyframe. If you press reset, that's going to take away the the modification we made at frame 1 in the motion layer editor, so keep that in mind. It just resets it back to the original data in the clip. It's a bit complicated, but it gets easier as you move along. Okay, so let's go here, and as he's being thrown against the truck, we obviously don't want him in this kind of running pose right here. So let's unlock his legs right here. That's the first thing. Those normally have a lock on them. And let's take his thigh and rotate it using the E hotkey again. Rotate it somewhere like this. Okay, that looks fine. And we will take his arms and straighten them out by the elbows. And you can also take his hands and just by grabbing the palms, you can stretch them out like that. And this arm over here can be a little bit further out as well. And we'll take this elbow and bring that out. Maybe just move it like that. And we'll bring those fingers out as well. And we probably need to bring that shoulder out a tiny bit more. There we go. Okay, so that kind of looks like he's being thrown against something. All right, so what we have here is we have 2 transform keyframes, which change the position of your character, and we have 2 motion layer keyframes as well, which change the position of your character. So that's the difference between transform and motion layer. So from here we have him just kind of, boom, just thrown against the side of the truck. And then the truck, we want the truck to kind of rock back and forth as our character hits it. So let's select the truck right here. But we need to get out of the motion layer editor first. Select the truck, and if you have this object-related track selected, it'll automatically select or open the timeline for whatever you select. I'm going to just double-click in the transform track, create a keyframe, and then right here, we're going to move the truck a little bit sideways on its axis. So it's going to be like, boom, he hits the truck, and then it kind of moves to the side, and then we want it to kind of go back into position a few frames later. So I can actually just right-click this first keyframe, copy it, and then just paste it a few frames later. It'll be back in position. So let's take a look. If I press space, okay, so we have this boom, and the truck kind of just knocking, but we have to have our character fall back down. Okay, so as the truck is kind of knocked over, we're going to do another modification on our character. So let's take him, edit motion layer, let's just rotate his back slightly backwards like that. We can take his lower back and move that back as well. And maybe the legs can be tilted upwards. We need to unlock those. And just kind of randomly position them. So now you can see we have those keyframes right there. We're staying in the same position, but just moving slightly. And then from here, we can also double-click the transform track and move him slightly backwards as well, slightly further up, just like that. So now we have boom, like that, and then we need to have him sliding down as the truck comes back into position. Okay, so we'll just take him, move him down, have him seated on the ground like that, and we obviously need to take his back and straighten that back out. So we're going to do the same thing. I probably overextended him a little bit. There we go. And we'll just kind of take his hip and move that slightly backwards. There we go. Upper back can definitely be moved backwards as well. There we go. Okay, we'll just keep this position right here. And I want my guy to be a little bit bent over, so kind of like this. And the head needs to be bent over as well. And his arms need to be fallen at his sides. So this is really simple, really quick animation, guys. Normally for keyframe animation, you want to spend a little bit more time on this. Let's have him just kind of actually place his hand on top of his knee there. Good enough. And then this one, place the hand arm down like that. Rotate it. There we go. Okay. So now what we have is, if I play this through in slow motion, we have the guy running up. Explosion happens, thrown against the car, and then sliding back down to the ground like this. So I'll play it back. Okay, and you can see it fell down quite quickly. So let's take this keyframe up there. Okay. So again, you can obviously modify the and enhance the speed of this and everything like that by moving the keyframes back and forth. But for now, we're going to focus on the other stuff. We're going to focus on the special effects, which is the cool stuff. So what we want to have is we want to have an explosion happen right as our character starts flying towards the truck. So right here is essentially where we want our explosion to take place. So let's go ahead and twirl this up, and I'm going to go into, actually it's in props. I'll close the timeline down for a second here. And we have special effects, volume 1, 2, 3, 4. These can be found in our content store. Really useful. I recommend, getting these for various purposes. I believe the destructible building elements is the one we want, or there's warfare actually is the one we want. So there's a warfare and there's an explosion one. We have air explosions. We have a ground explosion down here. So I'm going to just use this ground explosion one. We're going to click and drag this in, and we're going to place it right beside our character. And you can see there's a little red outline there. You're probably wondering what that is. Let's press Control D, and you can see that's actually just a dummy, a position dummy for your explosion. So the D, Control D, shows and hides your dummies. Little quick tip for you there as well. So what I want to do is at this position, I want to right-click that dummy, and I want to perform and turn effect on. And so that's going to create an explosion, all right? And we have flaming debris flying all over the place. Now, obviously, the timing of that could be a lot better. So let's press F3 and go into our timeline, and let's take a look at the explosion. So our character's running up, and then obviously it's a little bit late. So we want to make that a little bit earlier. So let's go ahead to our ground explosion here and open up the animation track. And that's going to show the animation track. This is exactly where the effect begins, right here, this motion clip right here. So right there is where it starts. So we want to make it a little bit earlier, probably about here. Let's click and drag that a little bit earlier, right there. That's now the explosion will start earlier. Boom, right there. And we want to make it a little bit faster because now it kind of seems just to kind of bubble up like that, okay? So let's make that a little bit faster by clicking and dragging. We need to make sure we're in speed mode instead of loop mode right here. So speed mode, we'll click and drag that a little bit faster, a lot faster actually. So now we have this, okay? And probably even a little bit sooner and a little bit faster we can do that. So boom, like that, and then right about there. Okay, we're not going to be too worried about the accuracy of the timing, but positioning is important as well. So I think, yeah, okay, we'll just work with that. All right, so we have that explosion all set up. Now the next thing we want to do is use another special effect. So let's go into our special effects, volume 3, which is destructible building elements. I'm going to twirl down the volume 1 and go into volume 3, and we have concrete floors right here. So there's a number of different concrete floors, and there's brick floors, which I'm going to use for this example here. We have all these different brick floor destructions. So at this frame, exactly where the explosion starts, let's click and drag this brick explosion in there as well. All right, so we have a bunch of bricks. We want to make that a little bit smaller and a little bit below the ground as well. So let's press the R hotkey and make it quite a bit smaller, maybe to about that level right there. And then we're going to press W, and we're going to bring it down below the cement, or below the asphalt there. And right-click it and remove object animation. Remember, we don't want it to be moving about before this frame. So at this frame, what I can do is I'm going to right-click and perform and explode. And there's our explosion coming up through the asphalt. Now, it's pretty cool, but the timing might be a little bit off. So again, let's open up the the animation track right here, and we can take a look at that. We probably want to make it a little bit further ahead. Boom. Even a little bit further ahead. There we go. Okay, and maybe a little bit faster as well. So we'll click and drag this. Okay, I think that looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and at that position right here, as those bricks are exploding, after they explode actually, We can probably move this a little bit up even. I'm going to just take this and move it ever so slightly up. Right here. Okay. All right, there we go. And now let's take a look at the actual texture of the brick itself. So it's called a brick explosion because, you know, everything looks like brick, but it doesn't really match the asphalt of the ground where our hero is just kind of hanging out there. So what I want to do is I have a special folder. Now you can use substance materials that are embedded with iClone for this, but I'm going to show you a different way to do it. I have a production resource folder here, texture maps. And I have a bunch of like asphalt texture maps that I can just, you know, basically just click and drag this onto the material right there. You can see it'll change to asphalt. And we can do the same thing for the other parts. So the parts that are brown right now, if we click and drag onto that, there you go. Okay, so now we have this asphalt. Again, we can probably make it darker by going into the texture and, you know, making it a little bit darker this way. There should be a brightness slider somewhere. All right, we won't worry too much about that right now. I think it's actually linked to something. So yeah, we can just bake this embed texture anyways. Okay, this gets a little bit more complicated, but we should now be able to change the brightness. There we go. Okay, so that's how you can change the brightness of your asphalt. All right, we're not going to worry too much about that. So we have the explosion and the effects pretty much all taken care of. Now we want to add some particle effects into this as well. So the particle effects can be found under, if we twirl up our props, there can be found under particles right here. So for particles, we have fire and smoke. A lot of fire and smoke. I'm going to use this Hellfire particle effect. So we'll just basically apply it directly to here. Okay, directly to where our floor starts to explode. And what I want to do is here I want to select emit on. So emit is already on automatically. So if I go back to frame 1 and I start playing, you can see we have Hellfire starting off right off the bat. Obviously we don't want that. So we want to turn our emit to off. Another little tip is that any text that you see that's green, that's keyframeable. So you can turn it on and off, okay, throughout the timeline. And also, actually let's leave it on. If I play back, I also want to change the size of this flame. It's a little bit too large for me. So what I'm going to do is just change the emit volume to like 200 on the Y and X axis. That's just going to change the volume of our fire there. Okay, so you can see it's a little bit smaller, a little bit more intense, and we'll just keep it there for now. Okay, but first we want to have emit off, play back, and now it's not. There's no fire obviously, so we want the emit to start about here. So let's just press emit on, and then boom. There you go, it starts, and looks like our character seems to be burning to death, but we'll ignore that for now. We can probably move it a little bit back away from the character just so he doesn't you know, burn to death. All right, just on the edge there. Okay, so we'll do the same thing for this thick smoke as well. So I'm going to click and drag this. I'll just take the big smoke actually. Big smoke, take it to about the same level and turn it off to begin with. And then as our explosion occurs, we will emit on, and there you go. The smoke comes with the fire. We have those two in combination, and there we go. We have this inferno if we look at it from a far distance. All right, so that's all the special effects, or the particle effects and the special effects that we have. Now what I want to do now is focus on camera movement. So to focus on camera movement, I'm going to select my character, press the F hotkey, focus on our character. Now, I'm going to create a camera here really quickly. We're going to create a camera. And that, if you create a camera, it'll show up in your little list up here. And that means it's a keyframeable camera. Your preview camera cannot be keyframed, okay? Only this camera can. So let's go ahead with this. And I want to link it to the character. So I'm going to just go ahead and select Pick Parent and pick my character. Now the problem with this is I've connected it to his waist. So if I press play, we're going to have, whoa, it's like shaking all around because his waist is shaking all around. Generally what you want to do is if you want to have the character, the camera lead or follow your character, you want to select the character's root. Link it to the character's root. So I'm going to select this ellipse here, and we're going to select the bone root as opposed to the base waist. Okay, so now we'll press OK. And now what happens is we have it in front of our character. However, it looks like our character is running really slowly. Looks kind of lame. So what we want to do to enhance this is we want to adjust our camera focal length as well. So I can press the U hotkey, and that'll switch from our character to our camera values. Okay. If you press the U hotkey, it'll switch between your last selected character and your camera values. And I'm going to change my focal length to 20 millimeters. And we're going to like zoom in on the character right here, and you can see now it looks a lot more dynamic. And if we press play, wow, he's moving a lot faster now. Okay, so just simple camera tricks, you can adjust that. So obviously we don't want the camera to follow him as he's moving along, or as he's getting exploded or blown against the car there. So at this point right here, when the explosion's happening, what I want to do is unlink the camera. So I can just select unlink here. It's keyframeable. So if I press F3 and go into my timeline here, you can see a little keyframe there. If I go into camera constraint, you can see if we have a link, you can see it's linked from there to there, but after that it's not linked anymore. So right here what I want to do is I want to go like ahead a few frames, like this, and I'm going to make my camera like seem like it's shaking, okay? So I'm going to select my character, and I'm going to go move my camera over here. I'm going to go ahead a few more frames and have my camera shake like this, and a couple more frames, and move it back like this, and go ahead a few more frames, and move the camera forward like this. And I'm just putting it basically in random positions to make it seem like we're having a camera shake. So it's going to be like that, okay? So you see it's like boom, like that, and then maybe here we can have it like this. So let's zoom in a little bit. Press the U hotkey, and then you can see there's the camera shaking right there. So if we press play, it's a little bit too fast. We can probably even start it a little bit earlier, just by doing this, and then boom, like that. And then we want to probably delete a few of these. Actually, it's a little bit too fast. So, and then here, the camera again. Here, go like this. Somewhere down here, like that. So now we have this boom, kind of like shaking of the camera. And then here, we'll actually just have the camera move this direction. Maybe something like this. And so now we have like this. So poof, like that. And as our character hits, we can have it move forward a little bit, and then here we'll just have the camera slide down and follow our dude right here into this position. You can see that cool perspective on the shoe and the leg and everything like that. So like this, and boom, like that. So let's see how that looks like when we play back. So it looks pretty dynamic, when you play it back. Again, maybe my camera shaking could be a little bit better, but boom, like that, and then we have him settling down like that. And then from here, maybe to as the dust settles, so to speak, we can have the camera kind of pan around the fire, and maybe about frame 500, we'll just have it like this. And kind of zoom out like that. So then from here to here, we'll have something like this. All right, and you can go wild with your camera angles. Maybe that one's not the best, but again, this is like just 2-second camera movement here. Another thing I want to focus on as well is as our explosion is happening, we can also go into some special effects. So if I go into media right here, and I go into let's see, image, or no, we need to go into props, I believe, under particle. Our special effects can be found, where are they? We'll skip the special effects for now because we actually don't have enough much time left in our Q&A, but you can also adjust the special effects. I believe it can be found in, I totally forget where the special effects are found, under props maybe. I'll have to get back to you on that, guys. Special effects. Here we go, effects. All right, under 3D scene. I always forget where those are. Or under stage and 3D scene, under effects. Okay, so let's apply a couple of filters to our scene here. Let's apply a lens blur, and let's apply a color filter. Okay, so we're currently at frame 234. I'm going to go to frame 0, and if we go to our effects right here, we should be able to minimize all this stuff and see all of our effects. Oh, those can actually be found in the visuals, I believe. Effects, there we go. All right, we found it. So let's take our red filter all the way down. Let's take our lens blur all the way down as well, okay? We'll play back until our explosion hits, which is about here, this frame right here. So as the explosion hits, we want to really kind of create kind of a lens flare. So right before it hits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my lens blur and move it to a 1 position, take my color filter, and move the red to a 1 position as well. And then from here to here, I'm going to create a lens blur like this and have it focus on that position where the explosion is happening, like right down there. Okay, and we're going to add a red filter as well for the color filter. So between these two keyframes now, we have it's going like that, and then you can see at this point here, we'll keep it there, and then go to frame 19 right there, and 99, and then from here we'll take it down all the way to 0 and 0. Okay, so we'll have this explosion happening just like that, and then it'll just kind of add emphasis to that explosion. So let's go ahead and play this whole thing back from the beginning, since we're pretty much done with our scenario now. Oof. So you can see it creates a dynamic kind of effect right there. I think my camera movement's pretty choppy, but again, I just kind of did some winging it there. All right, I think that's pretty much it for this webinar. I don't think we have much else to do, just the special effects, and again, the cool camera movement. I definitely want to adjust that camera movement if I had more time, but anyways, that's about it for this live demo. So we have about 10 minutes left for the Q&A session. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the good old questions panel, and I'll get to those right now. And again, like I mentioned, if you missed anything, this recording will be available for you later on as well. So let's take out the questions panel. Okay, we already got quite a few questions here. Okay, so first questions from Mark Kaiser. Are there 5 click-on tutorials that are available for the same content as for the DVD? Are there 5 click-on tutorials that are available the same content as for the DVD? I'm not sure what you mean by 5 click-on tutorials, Mark, so maybe you want to clarify a little bit in the questions panel. I'm not sure what click-on tutorials might mean, but we do have tons of tutorials on our YouTube channel. We also have a training DVD, a couple training DVDs, I believe, that are available now from some of our power users, some really experienced users. They're definitely quite comprehensive, so I'd recommend checking those out if you're new to iClone. So we have a question from Sandeep. Says, can we add logos or images to our characters' clothing? Definitely, you can add. There's tons of different ways you can add images or logos to your character's clothing. The easiest way is to use Character Creator, which comes embedded with iClone 6. So if you have iClone 6, you can basically just use Character Creator to modify your characters without modifying the textures in iClone. I'll load it up and we can get to that a little bit later. But okay, so we have a question from Jersey. Would it be possible to send a head from Crazy Talk to Character Creator? Do a bit of fixing and then back into Crazy Talk? Yeah, you can definitely do that. Jersey, good question. You can create your own head from a photo or a 2D image in Crazy Talk. It'll map it to a 3D head. And then basically you just save that as an RL head, and you can bring it back into Crazy Talk or iClone or Character Creator or whatever you want. All right, so that's hopefully that answers your question. We do have a tutorial on that. Let's see, I forget the name of the tutorial, but it's basically something about RL heads. It's one of the first Crazy Talk, or one of the first Character Creator 1.5 tutorials. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel, or you can email me as well, guys. I can answer questions in more detail if you email me later on. It's kai@reallusion.com. It's kai@reallusion.com. So feel free to ask me any questions you may have as well through that. But there is I mean, what Jersey said, you can definitely do that. Okay, so we have a question from Dave. Can you add moving clouds? Yeah, you can add moving clouds, Dave. We have a sky tool under scene, or under rather content, under props. We have a sky tool close to the bottom here, I believe. Where is it here? There we go, sky tool. So if you use this sky tool instead of the sky texture maps, this basically uses a logarithmic substance. And you can see right here, if we move the sun around, you can see the clouds moving. We can go from day to night, and the clouds move across the sky like that. So the sky tool is really cool. I think it's pretty cool. I use it in certain cases. It's fairly resource intensive, because what it's doing is it's using substance materials, and those are a bit heavier than your traditional iClone textures. But yeah, you can create, you can modify the speed of the clouds as well. It's cloud density and cloud speed right here. You can modify the speed of the star density in addition to the time scale. If you want the time to be faster or slower, you can do that as well. All right, so hopefully that answers your questions about question about moving the clouds around. You just use that sky tool. It's embedded with iClone 6. Okay, so next question from Sandeep. What if we have to move water to a different position in the scene? Water is basically throughout your entire scene. Now, there's ways that you can create, artificial water. Basically, all the water is, I can get into this actually really quick. If we go to Scene Manager here, water, basically all the water is just a bump map. It's a bump map video. So let's take a look at the water actually a little bit closer. I'm going to switch to my preview camera, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So if we press play, you can see all it is just a video that's kind of like going back and forth. If I take this video and I delete it, and I press play, there's going to be no ripples on my water. So you want to make sure that you have some ripples along your water. So you want to load in a bump map, or a video that's just a bump map. I think we might have just, yeah, it's not going to take me back to that folder. But the reason the water is reflecting is because it's just a prop basically, and it has these reflection values that are assigned to it. You can blur the reflection if you want. You can change the refraction blur, which is for under the water. Not too much going on here, but above surface strength, the reflection is mainly the one that you want to focus on, and the reflection blur, those are the two ones that are the main focus for water. So what you can do is you can apply, you can take like a primitive, like a prop, and take like a 3D block, for example, and I can bring this into my scene. And if I want, I can make it very reflective by going up to materials, we're in the wrong tab there, and changing the reflective values. Specular, glossy, you can bring those up like that. Add reflection to it, and it's just a very reflective sphere now. Looks like there's some HDR as well. But if we wanted to, add waves to this, then all we would do is just go to the bump map up here. We would add a video. I think I might have some videos hanging around here just to show you. Production resources, video. I'm not sure if I have any like opacity type videos, but let's try something like these falling snowflakes loaded as a bump map. So you can see the snowflakes on the sphere, I guess, right there, the non-reflective parts. But And you can see it's just reflecting the scene. It's reflecting the rocks right there, and there's snowflakes falling. So all the bump map is it's just like a wave kind of video. All right, so you can do that with a sphere or a cube if you want to place a cube in a certain area. That's how you can create transportable water. So hopefully that helps a lot. You can also email me as well if you have any further questions about how to do that. Okie dokie. So let's see. Okay, so Dave is clarifying his earlier question. When you get a motion you like, can you save it as a preset? Yeah, good question, Dave. If you want to save your, something as a preset or save your motion, say for example, I want to save this motion that I have on my character. All I need to do is, oops, where is he? There he is. So with your character selected, like this guy right here, we press F3 and go into the timeline. You can see our puppet clip goes from frame 1 to about frame 230 or whatever. I'm just going to click and drag in the collect clip track here, all the way over to here, and I just need to right click and select Add Motion to Library, okay? And I'll just call this a test run, for example. We'll go ahead and save it. And then what I can do is I can just start a new project, and I can use any old character and apply that animation to him or her. So let's just start a new project, get rid of all this stuff. Whoops. Let's bring in Iron Man, why not? Just a custom character that I have saved here. There we go. And I think I saved it to the desktop as a test run. There we go. So there's our test run. I'm going to drag that into iClone here. Whoops. There we go. Nice. There's Iron Man doing the exact same animation. And then boom, right there. Okay. So if you wanted to save that animation, again, just click and drag in the collect clip track right here, right click it and select Add Motion to Library. Now if your character has facial animation, you want to make sure you select Add Motion Plus to Library, because the motion doesn't include facial animation. Excuse me, Motion Plus does. All right? Cool. So let's go to the next question here. Whoops. I just have to bring up this questions panel. Okay, so when you get a motion, okay. So Dave asks another question. Can you have a character run along a path or a spline? Yeah, I actually just created a tutorial for that just recently. It's one of our most recent YouTube videos. Go check out our YouTube channel, guys, if you have a chance. Search for like Reallusion. There we go. So the video that talks about how to walk, it's a lot more comprehensive in regards to motion than this one. You can see walking and changing direction right there. I'd really recommend checking that out. It's pretty good for beginners learning how to animate walks and stuff. Okay, so next question is from David asking the camera focal length. How are the lens focal lengths calibrated? Do they correspond to a specific camera sensor size? Okay, so David Marmore asks about focal lengths corresponding to camera sensor size. Unfortunately, we don't have that correspondence right now. So the focal lengths are just the way they are right now. However, we have had a lot of requests from Previz artists for the specific length, focal length calibrations in regards to different cameras out there, because when you're in a previs setting, like a movie previs, doing a preview, pre-visualization for movies, you want to make sure that the camera you're using in the film has the exact same focal length and the exact same focus as the camera you're using in iClone or whatever previs software you're using. So David, we have had high demand for that, and I believe we will be including it in iClone 7. Now I can't promise that, but it is one of the major things that people have been asking for, particularly previs artists. So hopefully that answers your question about that. If any of you are previs artists, that's probably a good sign for you guys. Okay, so a question from Michael asking, how do you stop the hands spring back motion off and on? Not sure what you mean by hands spring back motion, Michael, so maybe you can clarify a little bit later on. I got a few questions to go through here, so I'll just come back to that a bit later, hopefully. Robert asks, is there any way to have the exploded bricks more ragged and less rectilinear? Rectangular, I think, maybe. Yeah, the exploded bricks, if you want them to be less rectangular, you'd have to choose a different template under the props. So under that content pack, special effects, destructible stuff, brick floor, there's a few here. I think some of them are more circular than others, but because they're actual bricks, that's why they're breaking apart as bricks. I think the concrete floor one has more varied shapes for the explosion. So you might want to try the concrete floor one if you have that. It's also a concrete wall as well. I'll just show you guys the concrete wall. It's kind of cool. If you have someone like, you know, busting through a wall, like if we had Iron Man busting through a concrete wall, for example, you just do right click and perform explode. Boom, like that. Obviously, he's not jumping, but you kind of get the point. So you can have cool effects like that just by, it literally takes 10 seconds, like I just showed you in 10 seconds to do something like that. So pretty fun to mess around with. Okay, so yeah, David asks more questions about the pre-visualization. So David, if you're interested in doing maybe some beta testing in the future, we are looking to collaborate with some previs artists. So you can probably email me at kai@reallusion.com, and we'd like to get your feedback because you seem to have a lot of technical questions about the cameras and everything like that. So we'd love to get your feedback and opinion and on how we can improve. So definitely give me an email, kai@reallusion.com, and I can refer you to our developer department as well. Okay, so let's move to the next one here. Sean Loke asks, how can we set the demo brighter with the dark buildings? Yeah, there's an easy way to, like, you know, change materials. That I don't really have time to go into exploring the material, increasing the brightness of the materials. I guess if you just take something like this one here, for example, like I showed before, you can go into materials and change your diffuse map. Any object, you can just select the diffuse map. You can increase the brightness like this way. Brightness is one way to do it. You can also increase the, where is it? Self-illumination somewhere. Where is my self-illumination? There it is. Self-illumination. So it'll have different effects. You can combine those as well. That's how you can make things brighter, just those two sliders. Asking you about iClone going towards more physics simulations like Houdini software. We are definitely going to improve our physics simulations in iClone 7, so you can look forward to that. As far as iClone 6, I'm not sure if any of the more recent patches are focusing on physics, or any of the upcoming patches are focusing on physics, so I can't really say anything more than that. But definitely, like, I've used Houdini myself, and stuff like the water flow and splash are really awesome. Unfortunately, you do need pretty hefty computers for that, and it's just real-time software is just kind of catching up to being able to integrate that kind of stuff as well. iClone 7 is probably going to be released late this year, like December late, or early next year. All right. So Rami asks, can we export complete iClone scene animations to Unreal Engine? Great question from Rami. Can we export complete iClone scenes? Currently, we cannot do that. So you have to actually, there's a workaround for it. You have to connect all your props to a master prop and export it that way. But yeah, we've had lots of demand for that, not only from Unreal Engine users, but also from Previz users as well, because they want to be able to just import the entire scene. Now, you can do that, like I said, but there's a workaround for it. You have to connect every prop in the scene to a single prop and export it as one large prop. All right. So, question from Joseph asking, where do babies come from? You can create babies in Character Creator. You can actually create your own babies. We have another webinar that gets into detail on creating, maybe not babies, but adolescents anyways. So you can make sure you sign up for that one. I can't really tell you much more than that, unfortunately. Okay, a question from Steve asking the Sky app. Yeah, you can also create your own terrains. He's asking about creating your own terrains. Yes, you can. We have tutorials on creating your own terrains. Oh, what's that program called? I haven't used it for like a couple of years. But we do have developers that sell their own terrains on the marketplace. And of course, you can feel free to create your own terrains and sell them as well on the marketplace. And get a little bit extra cash on the side. Terrain maker, I don't know. It's somewhere. Just search like iClone and terrain in YouTube, and you should see something. So Joseph asks, can the video be exported for use in game cutscenes, and what is the licensing requirement? Yeah, definitely. If you purchase all the stuff, if you purchase iClone and any of the content, you're able to use it totally royalty-free in your production, game, movie, whatever. You can use it royalty-free. We don't require any royalties, any licensing fees, or anything like that. All we ask is that you credit Reallusion in the credits in your game or your movie somewhere, and also let us know if you're using our software for that kind of purpose. We'd love to work together with you and provide any sort of service that you might need. So get in touch with me or with our marketing department in regards to that. But no licensing fee, no royalty fees or anything like that. Once you've purchased your content, you're able to use it, no problem. Okay, so Marco asks, what type of files iClone accepts for importing? We accept FBX files, OBJ files, SKP files, which are Google SketchUp files, and BVH files for animation as well. Recently, we also have Alembic import and export as well. So Alembic's becoming a really universal format. So keep that in mind. FBX, OBJ, BVH, Alembic, which is ABC, and then SKPs, Google SketchUp files. All right, so Christopher asks, how do you adjust the speed of your character in your timeline or make it look like he's going faster? I kind of just went through that. I'd recommend just reviewing the video. If you have any further questions, again, just email me about that, and I'll be able to answer those for you. Gaspar, okay, nice wallpaper, thanks. Thanks for the compliment there, Gaspar. Jonathan Webb asks, is it possible to add collision to a particle effect? No, unfortunately not. That's a little bit beyond the scope of our software, at least most real-time software, I would say. Particle effect affecting the truck. That would be a lot of substance material stuff at play. Hopefully in the future we'd be able to do that. What Jonathan is asking is if you can have like a spark or something from the explosion hit the truck and dent the truck. That would require modifying the texture of the truck, the substance texture. I mean, you could make it look like it was dented by just keyframing the substance texture. I guess that's what you'd be able to do, but not an actual dent. It would just be the texture that would look like it's dented, which I guess is just fine, which most video games do anyways. Okay, so next question is from Anna. Is there a list of shortcuts? Yeah, we have a list of shortcuts in our help files. I can't remember exactly where they are. I haven't looked in them for a while. But you can go up here to iClone Help and then Online Manual, and there's a list of hotkeys. Or maybe you can just like Google iClone hotkeys. I don't know. I've never tried it before. iClone hotkeys. I definitely use hotkeys all the time, so I'm curious to see if there would be. Yeah, here you go. Keyboard shortcuts for Reallusion. Okay. Try this one, I guess. Yeah, because this one looks like it's for 3D Exchange, maybe. Okay. Yeah, this is 3D Exchange, and there's some for iClone as well. They're basically the same, but iClone hotkeys. Google's your friend, I guess. All right. So I've answered the question, when is iClone 7 coming out? So comment about Perception Neuron. David asks, yeah, we're releasing Perception Neuron. I think it's actually already, yeah, the plugin for Perception Neuron is already out. So if you're into mocap, definitely look that up. But David's asking about facial mocap, which we get that question like every second day or so. We are in discussion with a couple of companies, can't be named right now, but to integrate facial motion capture into iClone, possibly 7. I think either 7 or 7.1. So it'll be in there. Facial mocap. We're heading that direction. So oh crap, it went back. So Nagaswara asks, do you have a short key for selecting parent-child link of character bones? No, unfortunately we don't. You have to go into the keyframe editor there, or the motion layer editor, or the whatever that's called. I don't know. I forget what it's called. Let's find out right now. Just make my question panel out of the way there. This one right here, the link one. Yeah, I forget what it's called. Anyways, no, there's no hotkey. Just to answer your question really quickly, Nagaswara, sorry about that. Kind of getting really overtime here, so I just want to buzz through the rest of these questions here. All right, so Pierre asks a good question. Will creating a head from photo return to iClone, or will you always need to own the latest Crazy Talk now? In the future, Crazy Talk may be integrated into iClone, so we'll have the photo feature. I think it'll always remain with Crazy Talk, but we may have like a Crazy Talk kind of app or plugin for iClone later on, and that will probably be priced lower because it's not a standalone program, but we will probably still be using the same tools. So it's kind of a 50% answer there. So I can't really comment on that far in the future, but we do intend on, like, for example, 3D Exchange 5 will be integrated into iClone a little bit later on as well. Okay, and Jeff asks, is there a tutorial for creating terrains? Yes, we do have a tutorial. Like I mentioned, just YouTube iClone terrain. You should be able to find it. All right, so a couple more questions, and then we're going to have to sign off for this webinar. How long does it take to render? Tom asks, how long does it take to render a video that is 10 minutes? It really depends on the complexity of what's going on in the video. It can be anywhere from like 30 seconds to, well, maybe not that low, maybe like a minute to 20 minutes. It really depends on, but I mean, you normally wouldn't have a 10-minute long video. Generally, people like to keep it into clips of about 30 seconds to a minute. At least I do. I don't normally render 10-minute videos in iClone, so I would have no idea how long that would really take, unfortunately. Okay. So we got a lot of questions. What's new with iClone 7? Physically based rendering is one of the biggest new improvements, PBR. You can take a look at our website right now for that. That's all we have confirmed right now. I don't want to speculate on other things, but we are, like I mentioned, going towards facial mocap and a lot of other enhancing our tools and a number of other things. I can't really comment on much else for iClone 7 at the moment because the next release is actually Crazy Talk Animator 3, and that's going to be in the next few months, I think. So we're focusing on that right now, to be honest. Okay. I'm just going to try and skip to the last couple of questions here, guys. If I didn't answer your questions, I apologize. We're kind of running short on time. So you can email me at kai@reallusion.com, and I'll get to answering your questions a little bit later. Let's see here. Importing. Okay, so we have some questions from various people about importing and exporting files like FBX and everything to iClone and back and forth. So to import FBX, OBJ, and all that stuff from iClone, you just need 3D Exchange Pro, basically, and you'll be able to import anything into iClone. However, if you want to export your iClone models, your iClone props, and everything to external programs like Max, Maya, or what have you, then you will need the pipeline version of 3D Exchange, okay? because that's basically just like buying an FBX file from TurboSquid or something like that. It tends to be a lot more expensive. If you're using it within iClone, you can find prices on props and everything that are like about half price. We have an iContent price and we have an iExport price. Those are two different prices. You may notice that if you want to purchase stuff from the content store or the marketplace, the iContent price allows you to use it only within iClone. You can't export it to FBX. So if you're only using iClone, definitely get the iContent license. But if you intend to export your models and your animations and everything to external programs, then you want to get the pipeline version of 3D Exchange, and you will also need to get the export license for your individual props and animations. Yeah, Matt asks, is there a way to change the facial expression of your character during the action sequence? Yes, definitely. Lots of facial animation tools. Again, just Google iClone facial animation on YouTube or on Google, and you should be able to get some results for that. I can't go into the facial animation tools right now, unfortunately, although I do like doing facial animation. And we will have many, many improvements to the facial animation as our characters get more sophisticated and as our animation tools get more advanced as well. So Michael mentioned as well the program to create your own terrains is called Earth Sculptor. Thanks, Michael. I kind of totally forgot about that. You can use Earth Sculptor. All right. So for those of you who are asking about creating your own terrains, Earth Sculptor, and then you can import that into iClone. We do have a tutorial on that I made like ages ago, like 4 years ago or something. No plans to make this program for the Mac. We always get asked that question at every webinar, but you can use Boot Camp right now. A lot of our users just use Macs and they're using Boot Camp. So keep that in mind. We may in a long time in the future have a Mac version, but no immediate plans right now. Okay, so I'm going to end the webinar because we're about 20 minutes over right now. So my apologies if I didn't get to your question. I know some of you have some fairly advanced stuff that you want to go over. So I encourage you to email me because I'd love to answer your questions, unfortunately not during the webinar time. So email me kai@reallusion.com. And also, again, make sure you send out our survey form because you'll get a $10 gift certificate from the content store. And as well, check out our Reallusion YouTube channel. Lots of tutorials and stuff on there done by yours truly. And our forums over at forum.reallusion.com. I remind everyone at the end of every tutorial, check those out because we have a really great community of people. They're always available to answer questions as well. I'm not the best on email, so if you want like immediate answers, the best idea is to go to the forums, but I can give you some good answers if you're willing to have a little bit of patience. But again, thanks so much, guys, for attending this webinar. Hopefully you learned a lot, and hopefully I provided some needed information for you. Again, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. I know there's a lot of people from all over the place. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next webinar.